Hi everyone, this is Eliza. Welcome back to Eliza's Bookshelf, or welcome if you're new. Today I want to go over tips and tricks about how I read so much in a year. So disclaimer, I don't think I read that many books, and this is not to brag or anything like that. I just know a lot of people, when I talk to them, they're like, Eliza, you have a job, you have kids, whatever. How are you able to read so much? And so I just want to go over what I do and how I am able to read over 100 books a year as a full-time doctor with 2 little kids at home and a husband who needs attention as well. So yeah, just some tips and tricks. First off, you have to do the bare minimum at work, ignore all responsibilities, and basically neglect your children. They're 4 and 2 years old. They can basically fend for themselves. Just kidding. In all seriousness, one of the things that got me able to read a lot more is this Kindle. So my husband got this Kindle for me last Christmas, I believe, and he looked at some good deals and stuff like that. I did tell him that I wanted the Kindle Paperwhite because I had a Kindle in the past, but it's not just the Kindle for reading. It has all these apps and stuff like that. And so I got super distracted. The battery life really sucked. There's all these apps that I didn't know what to do with and I didn't use. So I specifically requested the Paperwhite. And this, if you can tell, if you're a big Kindle reader, this is the kids version. I looked it up. There's not a big difference between the kids version and the regular Kindle. So we got this for cheaper. And I don't know, I actually grew to like the kids cover. But yeah, Kindle came in super clutch for me because, at night, our kids still sleep with us, by the way, because my son is a scaredy cat. It's our fault. We let him watch some questionable things, but he gets super scared. So sometimes he still sleeps with us or sleeps in the room. And so because I'm around all these people and at night is when I do most of my reading, I don't want to have the light on. And I don't want to read by myself outside, because that's super creepy too. I'm a scaredy cat as well, okay? I admit it. I'm like my son. That's where he gets it from. But so the Kindle was very useful because I can read this at night. And I just love the Kindle. I love the Paperwhite because it doesn't like glare and doesn't really hurt my eyes as much. But the Kindle, I know I can read ebooks and things like that on my phone as well, but with my phone I get really distracted, text messages, YouTube, Instagram and stuff like that. So with the Kindle, I'm able to read and not get distracted, and I just like the way it looks. Sometimes when the font and things like that are super nice and appealing to my eyes, then I read faster. But you can change the font, you can change the lighting, you can change the size. Obviously you can do this on a lot of other things too, but I'm just trying to hype up the Kindle here. Yeah. So yes, Kindle. Kindle is one. The other way I am able to read a lot is through audiobooks. So with work, I drive to work like 30 minutes, I drive back. That's like an hour of my day that I can be doing stuff. So I use that time sometimes to listen to audiobooks. So maybe in a month I can read like a book or two, depending on how long they are, through audiobooks. And the app, well, my husband actually gets free Audible credits from his Amex card. So there's that. But I use Libby. I just, put things on hold and they come in and I listen to them. The problem with Libby is I request so much and they seem to all come in at once. So I have to say deliver later. But Libby is a good way to just listen to audiobooks or, wherever you get your audiobooks in general. It's a good way to get some reading in if you're super busy, like you're doing chores or vacuuming and stuff like that. For me, I do it on my drives to and from work. And the type of audiobooks I like are generally autobiographies, because I like listening to the actual author narrate their book. And then I also like action-packed or science fiction books that have like a big cast of narrators because it makes it interesting. I think one that I want to give a shout out to is, actually, come to think of it, this is not like a multiple people cast of audiobook, but the narrator himself changes his voice so well that, you can tell who's who. But Red Rising series is really good to listen in audiobook if you haven't. Number 3. This is how I get to read a lot of books because I carry something with me at all times. I either carry my Kindle, I either carry a book. If I forget any of those two, I have my phone that is loaded with like ebooks and stuff like that. So I always have a book with me because you never know when you're stuck somewhere and you're stuck there for like an hour or two doing nothing. And so instead of like scrolling on my phone on websites, finding about like the Kardashians and stuff like that, which I like to keep up with anyways, I can pop out a book and read. And so I always have my Kindle or a book in my purse. I always bring one to work, and that's why a lot of people, when they see me carrying a book to work, they're like, when do you have time to read? You know, this is work. But I actually read during my break at work too. So I read whenever I can because I just love stories so much. Number 4, a routine. So I always read during certain times. I always read before bed because that's when I have time for myself. You know, during the day, super busy. When I come home, I take care of the kids. I teach them things. You know, I teach my son. I'm trying to teach him sight reading right now. And for my daughter, I'm trying to teach her like different words, her beginner words and stuff like that. But once I'm done with that, once we get into bed, brush our teeth, whatever, then I have my me time. I read before I go to bed. Sometimes I fall asleep and things just plop down and I lose my space or whatever. But yeah, I just get in whatever reading I can before bed. Sometimes when I'm hooked into the book, I just read later than I should. And then the next day I'm super busy. So I'm like, ah, crap, I need coffee today. But yes, I have a routine going. I always read before bed. Not always, but most of the time. You know, sometimes things happen. And number 5. Well, maybe I have another tip in there. Number 5, and this one is not something that I personally do. I have a problem with it, but tip number 5 to read more books is don't be afraid to DNF, which is do not finish. So if a book you're reading is not really interesting you, it can slow you down and put you in a book slump because you don't want to read it. It's not, you know, it's not fascinating to you. It's not interesting to you. So tip number 5 is that it is okay to DNF, or at least put it to the side and pick up a book that you do like, because books that you do like, you know, or books that I do like, I can read through them for like in a couple days or so. And if it's really good, I can read it in one sitting. But I find that if it's a book that I don't like, it usually takes me a while to finish it. That is something that I'm trying to work on too, because I have an issue with DNFing a book. There is a book that's been on my currently reading list on Goodreads for the past like year or two, and I can't just remove it because I'm like, I'll finish it one day. So I have a problem with DNFing books, partly because I just want to know what happens in the end, and I want to know if I like it or not. Case in point, Crescent City number 2. It was super boring to me for like the first gazillion of chapters, and then the last couple chapters I'm like, oh man, this is really good. And that itself is making me continue the series. See, so that's an example of like books that I don't know if I'll like or not, but I eventually end up wanting to read more. So that's just a me problem, but it's just a tip in case, you know, you find yourself not really wanting to read and don't know why. Maybe the book you're reading really sucks for you. So yes, that's tip number 5. That was my last tip, but I actually thought of something else just now. Tip number 6, form a book club. So I did recently start reading books or buddy reads with a couple of my YouTube friends, Kaylee and Daphne, but I have been reading books with my other friends too, Anna from college, and I like suggest books to my families and things like that. So it's really nice reading along with someone because you talk about it, you're excited about it, you're like, oh shoot, this person is ahead of me, I gotta catch up and see what they're talking about. So yes, that's how you can get to reading more books too. So those are some of my tips and advice for if you want to keep reading or if you want to read more. Obviously, it's not bad if you don't read at all or if you don't read as much as other people. It's not a competition or anything, but I do know a lot of people are like, how are you reading so much? So I just wanted to let you guys know. That's me. All right, well, thank you so much for watching again. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.